welcome to our October edition of Ham Talk. First of all, before I forget this month, we would like to thank our sponsors, the Hamsters Week Signal Group. See, I remembered. I'm doing well. I wanted to get that out of the way before I even introduce everybody, which by now you should definitely know the whole cast and crew. I'm Sam Henley, KE0LMY. This is Melissa.
Hi, Melissa, KI5ICQ.
This is Andrea.
Hello, Andrea, K2EZ.
And this, bringing up the tail end for everything this month, is Greg.
Hello, everybody, N5XO.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I'm putting everything he wants to do all the way at the end. Okay, so there's been a couple of really interesting things happen to everybody in our group up to this point since our last show. And I'm going to jump right in first because usually it's all the important people that get to do the talking. So since I've got exciting things this month, I'm just going to jabber real quick. In a little while after Melissa's segment, you're going to see my segment. We actually had a tornado touchdown here in Camden County, Missouri on Sunday, the 24th of this month, and we had our storm spotters and our Aries and Skywarn people activated. So I'm going to do a whole run through of how that went and how our interaction went during that entire deployment in my segment. And I know that Greg's got exciting stuff. Melissa's had stuff happen to her. Poor Andrea. Oh my gosh. All of us have had something happen to us. So this time I'll pick on Andrea because last month I picked on Melissa first. So Andrea, what have you had happen in your world since the last taping?
I don't even want to. I don't even know where to start. Things have been kind of interesting. I had a couple computers walk, a tablet, decided to grow some legs and jump out the window of the car and run away. So that's been a real pain in the neck.
Don't you always like it when people think that they deserve stuff better than you when you paid for it?
Oh yeah. Fortunately, one of the computers was real old. The tablet was brand new. Okay, that's a loss, but nothing was set up, so not a pain in the neck. And the replacement for the other computer was cheaper than the other computer, and boy, I like it a whole lot better. So
Good.
that's the upside to
So
it.
see, something good came out of it.
Silver
And now
lining
you can
on a
just
dark
go
cloud.
roving around.
Yeah.
All right, Melissa, I'm sure you've got a whole mouthful to say after that.
No, it's kind of the same old with me. My house has been under various stages of construction, and what I thought was going to be, a 2 to 3 week project ended up being now we're into 4 months. So I'm getting a little tired of the hammering. And so, but just recently went on a camping trip. So that's always fun to get out and away.
Every time that I've watched those shows on TV where people start the renovations, they always have such high hopes. Oh, it's going to get done quick and it's going to cost exactly what I think it's going to cost. And then reality hits.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit difficult when you get into a contract and then they start demo. And if there's, you're stuck, you have to wait for them to finish. So no matter what. So.
Well, Greg, we've just had some cheerful stuff this month. You want to bring up the tail end of the conversation?
Well, my company did away with my whole division, so I am I found myself right on the edge of either retiring or finding a job. So far, I'm not having good luck going in either direction. But it's given me some spare time. I'm actually finishing projects up around here, so on the positive side, I'll get a few things done before I make up my mind one way or another. And you're right.
The shack looks good. Look at your shack. It looks fantastic.
Oh, and it works. I finished up antennas today. I did the last tower projects Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And let me tell you, between 90% humidity and high temperatures, it's not been fun.
Ooh.
But it's done. All I got to do is go push a button tomorrow and the antennas will go zoom, and I'll be a happy man.
Get some video. We'll drop it into the next show.
All right.
All right. So I know that you guys aren't here for us just constantly jibber jabbering. So we have some really awesome sections. Melissa's actually going to take off first this month because we've got some questions. So Melissa, you have some questions?
Yep, we have 2 questions here. So I will pose this to anyone. Question number 1, what will give you the most distance, antenna gain or power? The scenario being, say the max power you can run is 250 watts ERP. And for those of us who don't know what ERP is, it's effective radiated power. Is it better to get that ERP with power or gain?
Who you want to answer? I can take it. Then Andrea can come along and tell me how wrong I am. So that way you got to follow up the lead. In my opinion, the amplifier should be the last thing you put in a Radio Shack. Not against them. And God knows I've got like 8 here. I'm all for amplifiers, but that should be the last thing you build in your shack. And the reason for that is if you get your gain from your antenna and low loss feed line, then you got 2 advantages. Your signal is going to be more going out, and guess what? You'll be able to hear it. We gave an example with the alligator guy here, a few months ago? Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect example of it. If you got a low gain antenna and high loss coax and everything, and you run a lot of power, you can overcome the restrictions on your antenna and the restrictions in your feed line, but you ain't gonna hear. How you like that for English?
Yeah.
And stuff. So antenna gain, and when you've maximized your antenna system, then start looking at amplifiers and things like that. Okay, Andrea, go ahead and correct me.
No, I actually agree completely. Maximizing your antenna gain is going to work for both transmit and receive, so you can hear the weak signals even if people aren't running power. Once you've got that optimized, the amplifier can help make your signal louder if you're on sideband, CW, or digital modes. In FM, it'll give you more signal to let people a little further hear you. FM behaves very differently on the weak signal area, but definitely antenna gains the positive. And since I will be talking about S-meter and signal reports, including S-meter readings, when you look at power, 10 dB of gain is roughly a little bit over 1.5 S units. That's not a lot. And that's what you get from going from 100 watts to a kilowatts. 20 dB is like 3 S units. Now, I don't want to minimize that, because 3 S units, when somebody's down at the noise floor, that's between, no copy and easy copy. But once somebody is already reading on the S meter, between VHF in particular, and S3 and an S5, who cares generally? But it does depend upon band. On HF, you may need that extra signal strength to overcome noise crashes and things like that.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to what Andrea just said, but I meant to tell you earlier, Sam. The other day we had about a 6-hour 2-meter band opening. Actually, it went all the way up to the gigahertz, and I worked a station less than 60 miles from your QTH on single side band 2 meters. So
nice.
We just need to get you an antenna up.
I've got antennas up. It
Yeah,
just,
but you gotta
they're
have
at the
the right
house and
one.
I'm here most of the time.
Yeah.
I live here and my home away from home is the house.
That's kind of like how I go home to Texas, and I've spent more time here than I've spent in New Jersey over these past 2 years now.
You guys get
Just
it.
stay here, like you.
So Melissa, you had another question for us?
Yes, I do. Yep, we have another question. This question is from N4DTF. They say, I'd like to hear from anyone who has used an omnidirectional antenna to supplement their beam for weak signal work. For years, I used only stacked loops all the time. Now that I have beams up, I worry that I'm missing signals. So my thought is to put some loops back up and bring them into my radio using a diversity receive capability like I've done on HF for receive only antennas. Please let me know if you've tried this and what worked well, what did not work, etc. Because I'm probably going to be doing a column on the subject soon.
Well,
Go ahead, Andrea. Ladies
yeah.
first.
I'll jump in here because on my mobile, I have stack omnis on 2 and 1.25 meters, and I have the Yagis. And for me, it's not so much diversity received, but I often don't know where the heck people are relative to me. I don't know who may be calling or answering. And so I may hear a signal and I'll flip the switch to go from the beam to the omnis, and the signal will jump right up, and that'll tell me, okay, I'm probably 90 degrees off from them. So I do have that experience. I also have the experience, oddly enough, at times where no matter what I do on the omni, they sound really weak, and I'm thinking, oh, these omnis are crap. But then, surprise of all surprise, I can't even get a signal to peak up with the Yagi, yet they come in good on the omni. And typically I am moving in these situations, so things aren't static. So there are definitely some different characteristics on the antenna. I find the diversity receive idea very interesting. You kind of need, you can't just merge 2 signals into one antenna port, because that, I suppose if you amplify them enough, you're going to create some very weird receive pattern. But if you did something, what's that?
Transmit issues too.
Well, you can't really transmit, but if you're doing something like a separate receive port, and the radio can do that and receive and play one in one ear, one in the other, I can think of a few setups where that would be really handy as stations move in and out of the pattern on one.
Yeah, I don't know of any VHF, UHF radios that can receive on different things. So you'd have to set up a remote antenna switch and pre-program it to do that. When I was first listening to the question, and then as you answered, I realized I listened to it wrong. I was thinking they wanted to phase a set of loops with their beams on that. And I was fixing to say that's a bad idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, those loops are not going to be phased with your beams. And number two, well, you could get them phased, but it would be a pain in the butt. But the biggest thing is you just did away with a lot of the strength of a Yagi. Because when you aim a Yagi in a direction, you've got more gain in that direction, but you also are rejecting front to back and side signals, lowering the noise floor. So if I'm on my omnis and I've got an S3 and I go to the Yagis, I got an S1, I'm going to hear a lot weaker signal than I was. But I kind of do basically what you were describing here at the house. I've got a stacked set of K5 VH Omni antennas for 2 meter sideband. Also have them for 6 too. and those are up there, and I use those primarily 24/7 to monitor. I hear everything everywhere. I've got gain and everything. And then if I'm having trouble hearing you, such as when Andrea pops in to nets and stuff, or I get her in the morning from her place, I'll switch to the Aggies just to boost that signal. So, you know, you can use them in conjunction, but so there you go.
Let me just add,
I knew that was coming.
just to add, the Flex 6700 can receive two 2-meter, essentially has two separate SCUs or sampling units, and that radio will operate at 2 meters for receive, and will transmit 2 meters on a transverter level, not any serious power level. So that radio right there will do 2-meter diversity receive.
I forgot about that one. When I'm sitting here thinking, I'm thinking like in my case, I've got transverters hooked up, and also like the ICOM 9700, the 9100, and things like that. Radios mostly they have. All right, I hope we answered those questions.
That'll do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, my segment that Greg is going to drop in right here is going to be about the activation of our storm spotters and our Aries and Skywarn here in this area. I'm hoping that's the part that you guys want to hear me talk about anyway. As for contests, it's been a while since I took directorship of Camden County Emergency Management. It's been a while since I've been able to hold any contests with my group, but DARC, the Damn Amateur Radio Club, is still in existence. It's just trying to find a minute to be able to do something other than work. So I'm hoping to bring you guys some really good content, or not really contests, but events that we've got coming up. So I'll have Greg just drop that in right here.
I'll do that. And I might even do it without playing with it.
I try and give you a clean one, you know, so that I try and do it in one take, so you don't have a whole lot of jacking with it, you know.
My favorite was when you and Renee, and Renee's voice came out perfect. The same microphone, totally muted Samantha.
Same microphone. We literally did nothing different, and she was sitting right next to me, and it muted me. It would not pick me up at all, but Renee could just.
That was my favorite editing.
That was interesting, I'm sure. So hi there, everybody. This is Sam, KE0LMY. Of course, I'm trying to look at the screen and not at the camera. I'm not used to looking at you guys up there. So my little part of the videos for this week, I am going to talk, or this month, I'm going to talk a little bit about having just gone through an EF1 tornado here in Camden County, Missouri, with the storm system that passed through on October 24th. It was a lot. It was very small compared to a lot of other things, but the thing that I can speak the most about was the communications, and that's actually what I do want to touch on. And it's not just communications over radio or communications over phone or email or whatever. It's the entire communications process, because I saw something that has just restored my faith in our ability to deal with things and to help each other. So before the storm system even got here, it was, I would say, Thursday or Friday, and the American Red Cross, the State Emergency Management Agency, and NWS, the National Weather Service, had already sent out emails and information letting us know that if we needed anything from this or during this or after this upcoming storm, to just reach out. They would be right there for us, ready to help us with whatever we needed or whatever shortfalls we had. Sunday, the 24th, early in the morning, my lake area storm spotters were already getting ready for the day. Just before that, can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, one of those 2 days, the leader, Eric Hoover, got a hold of me, reintroduced me to the Zello app for my phone, and let me know that that's part of what they use as their communications. I said, great. Do you also have our radio frequencies in at least some of your vehicles from your spotters? He said, absolutely. We have an EMA1 and an EMA2 radio frequency. And then here in the local area through the Lake of the Ozarks Amateur Radio Club, there is a repeater that we also have access to. The head of our ARES, our Amateur Radio Emergency Service out here in Camden County, is Ernest Venus. I believe it's W0LTC, Lima Tango Charlie. He got a hold of me as well, let me know that he was going to be available for ARES and Skywarn, so we were going to have that support. And it looked like it was going to build into something, and it eventually did. We were fortunate. Ours was only an EF1 and we only had one tornado. I think there were counties that had a couple of tornadoes and they were higher on the scale than ours. But the whole time that the spotters were out, they kept in constant contact with me. I was able to take the information they were relaying to me and put it directly into something called NWS Chat Live, which is what emergency management directors, first responders, and a whole bunch of other first response agencies can speak on in real time with the NWS to make sure that we're getting alerts out to the public as fast as possible. When my guys made it down to southern Camden County to Decaturville, they let me know, Sam, we're seeing rotation start. And as soon as I type that into chat, I can tell you these guys out of the NWS Springfield, Missouri office are so fast. They picked up on it, they took the report, and they immediately issued a tornado warning. So if there's ever someone out there that doesn't think that your voice is being heard, especially in life and death, potentially life and death situations, we listen. We are all working together and doing our best to make sure that we can give you as much warning time and as much protection as possible. We want you to know that there is so much that happens behind the scenes that you have no idea how many organizations and agencies are out there working and communicating with each other to help protect you. Our road and bridge department here in Camden County was absolutely amazing. They started reaching out to me on Sunday before the storm built and had already started letting me know, okay, the rain started to go through. We've got a tree down over here. We've got a small power outage over here. And they kept up the communications. I had response and information directly from Mid-County Fire, which is one of Camden County's bigger fire departments and fire districts, letting us know that the only thing that they saw so far was a couple of trees down. But the biggest thing that I saw work during this entire event and during this entire experience was communications. And we always joke and we always tease and we always poke fun that communications is always the first thing to fail. But if this small event was any indication, I can honestly say that Camden County did a good job. All of you guys, the ham radio operators, the storm spotters, the road and bridge guys, the NWS, the American Red Cross, SEMA, everything went like it should have. And so I just wanted to give you that. Maybe it'll be our little feel-good story of the month, but this is one of those examples where it worked. So thank you so much for your time. As you can hear, my phones are going off and buzzing, so I've got to get back to work. appreciate everything that my fellow ham radio operators do, especially if you're in emergency service and you just want to help protect people. Thank you so much for what you do. Well, thank you, me. I have such an entertaining segment. I'm so glad that I could do that for you guys. I may be the least technical person. Yeah, even Melissa gets technical sometimes. I may be the least technical person on here, but hopefully there's something entertaining you guys can take out of this, or, you know, informational, educational, something. So hope you enjoyed my segment. Next, we'll be going over to back to Melissa, actually,
Yep.
I think, for the Show Us Your Shack.
Yep. And the Show Us Your Shack this month is none other than N5XO's glorious ham shack that I think at this point, he's completely torn down and reassembled, I think for the third time.
Yeah, since I've known you. And that's been what, about 4 years, 3 years?
No. So we'll start with those at this point.
All right.
And remember, guys, if you have pictures of your shack and you want to share them with us, please, please, please send them to the email that Greg will drop down in the description, because Melissa absolutely loves going over people's shacks and talking about them and looking at all the different ways that they can be set up. So please do submit your photos and your information and everything to the link down in the description box. We really appreciate you guys.
Excellent idea.
We start with a wide-angle lens view of the operator's positions in the shack. 2 operators can sit at the desk and operate the station at once. The left side is 6 meters and 2 meters, and the right side is 1.25 meters through 23 centimeters plus HF. Take note, the entire shack is lit by under-desk lighting. The light reflects back up off the floor, the walls, etc. This creates very even shack lights with no glare on the monitors. This image here is at a slightly higher angle and shows the primary monitors and the 2 operating stations. This particular monitor displays the Flex 6400M, showing the primary spectrum of the 2-meter single sideband portion of the band. This allows the operator to quickly and easily spot a signal. And there are also 2 primary clocks in the shack. The blue display time is local time and the green is UTC. In this image, we see the display for the geochrome world clock. This provides maximum usable frequency globally, time and gray zone. The lower monitor ties into the ICOM 7700 and provides a large display for the 6-meter band. Again, displaying the Flex 6400M, this monitor shows the primary spectrum of the 220 and 1296 band, allowing the operator to quickly and easily spot a signal. And lastly, we have the primary CCTV monitor. It's not yet active. They have 10 security cameras for the home and 6 amateur radio cameras, shack feed, Tower 1, Tower 2, Tower 3, and Tower 4. In the HF section of the shack, we see the amps for the 23 centimeter on top, 70 centimeter in the middle, and the HF is lower. 10-Tech Orion 2 for HF operation, plus an auto tuner above it. Here's a good view of the primary computer center for JT65, logging, video editing, and personal use. This area houses the 2 Flex 6400Ms, which tie into the transverters for 144, 220, 1296, and IC 9700 for 432, and IC 9100 for 2-meter FM operation. This area also houses all rotor controllers, antenna, remote relay switches, and sequencers. And don't you know, this shack has to have that curved screen monitor, split screen for Mac logger, VHF propagation map, 1000 watt 2-meter amp, plus the IC 7700 for 6 meters. One of the mini Macs runs the logging program and mapping, and the second Mac Mini runs 2 46-inch monitors for DX Summit VHF real-time map, and weather radar. Those monitors are not yet mounted. A 1500 watt alpha 6-meter amp, station monitor, and signal generator. The lower amp is the alpha 1500 watt HF amp. Right above it is the 500 watt Beco for 432 and 200 watt Gemini for 1296, and also a 160 watt brick amp for 220 megahertz. And HF with the Tentec Orion 2. And an image of the 220, 432, 1296 portion of the shack.
So, Andrea, I know that despite all of the drama and issues, you poor girl, you have gone through in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I know that you've got a good segment for us. What do you have?
Oh, I had an absolutely great segment, and it got stolen with that laptop. I'm sorry, Greg. Nothing for me this month.
I ain't letting you off that easy. You know, that's
I
like
can't breathe.
my homework.
Oh my
Look
goodness.
at the color difference between my hand and my
Did you know I'm still recording, right?
You need your outtakes for the end of the year, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right, you want to try to get
I don't do it any good. So,
So, Andrea, what do you have for us this month?
this month I'll be talking about signal reports, including S-meter readings. So let's go over to my segment. Today, we will be talking about signal reports and S-meter readings. The most common form of signal report in amateur radio uses what is known as the RST system. The RST system uses 2 or 3 numerical digits to describe the signal characteristics. For voice signals, it only uses R and S, meaning readability and strength, while for CW, we add the third digit T for tone. R for readability is given a 1 to 5 score in this system, 1 being unreadable and 5 being perfectly readable. In my opinion, this is the most valuable digit of the signal report because it tells you how well that someone is understanding you. If they give you a 5, you know that they're getting almost everything you're saying. If they're a 4, they're probably missing little bits. 3, they're probably not getting a whole lot, getting pieces of it. And 2, they're just picking out a little bit. You're probably not going to give somebody a 1 because they're unreadable. Or if you do, because somebody might be calling you and they're hearing you, but you're not really copying them because of distortion or whatever, you might give them a 1 in that case. The second element, S for strength, is given a score of 1 through 9, ranging from very faint through extremely strong. This element of the signal report is useful because signal strength doesn't always equate to readability. For example, on a very quiet band on VHF or UHF, I've had signals that I could barely hear, yet without any noise, I was able to copy them 100% and gave a readability score of 5. On the other hand, I've been on a noisy 80-meter band where the noise floor was over S9, and even though signals were technically S9, I could barely copy them. Most rigs these days have an S-meter, which will have indications for S1 through S9, and these are typically calibrated such that S9 is equal to a 50 microvolt signal received, and each S unit below S9 is 6 dB less than the indication above it, which means to go down 1 S unit, the signal is 1/4 the strength, which also means that if one wants to go up 1 S unit, one needs to run 4 times the amount of power. S meters also have indications above S9 to indicate how much stronger your signal may be above that 50 microvolt level. These are typically indicated in dB, such as 10 dB or 20 dB or 30 or 40 dB over S9. So when giving a signal report, some people may also give the number of dB over S9 that appears on their meter. 10 dB over S9 requires 10 times the amount of power. 20 dB over S9 requires 100 times the power, and 40 dB over S9 requires 10,000 times the amount of power needed to get S9. My personal preference is not to rely on the S meter too much, and I'll take its reading with a little grain of salt and then adjust it and give a largely subjective perception of the signal strength. And this is because noise varies from band to band, and it's not too useful giving everybody an S9 on 80 meters because my noise floor varies between S7 to S9. For voice operation, we only use the readability and strength terms of the RST system. One more footnote in terms of signal strength. When using Morse code, given how long it takes to send the character 9 and how frequent that report is used, often operators will substitute the letter N for the number 9 when sending the report. With Morse code operation, we also have a third digit to our signal report, and that is T for tone. Most equipment these days is very good, and tone is almost always given as a 9. We just don't have the same sort of AC ripple problems that old vacuum tube equipment had. Just like with signal strength, a 9 will be abbreviated with an N. So a top signal report in Morse code is 599 or 5NN. RST signal reports are most common on HF and VHF, UHF weak signal. When it comes to FM, however, people will talk a little bit different. Readability still applies, but will often be a result of somebody's audio being faint, or will be a result of hiss. The way that FM works, when a signal starts to get weaker, the FM lock starts to get lost, and you start to pick up a little hiss on the signal. This is the capture effect of FM starting to fall apart. So what people will often say on FM, rather than give a strength, and they don't even give a readability a lot, they'll just refer to how much quieting there is. Full quieting refers to one that has no hiss. 50% quieting would be one with as much hiss as voice. 0% would be like open squelch, where there's nothing but noise, and you're not going to copy anybody at 0% quieting. So, but a number such as 80% quieting isn't uncommon at all, just a little bit of hiss, and that suggests that somebody is starting to get to the limit of coverage on a repeater or limit of communication. The other thing that happens on FM is signals can drop in and out very rapidly. And this results in what's known as picket fencing. So people will just say, you're full quieting. They might say you're picket fencing because you're moving from full quieting to noise. Full quieting is just chop, 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 chop through the signal. So you'll hear these items used to describe signals on FM. This is Kilo 2 Echo Zulu, roving reporter for Ham Talk.
All right, Greg, as usual, you get to bring up the rear. So, Your Highness, what do you have for us this
All right,
month?
we're going to go ahead and slide into a segment and stuff here. I forgot what the hell I'm doing. Okay. I forgot what my segment was.
Seriously?
What the hell was I
Okay.
doing?
Cut it in there.
Tools. Okay, I'm
Oh,
ready.
what?
Do it again. Tools.
Okay. So, Your Highness, since you're bringing up the rear, what is your segment on this month?
We're going to cover VHF, UHF DXing tools, what they are, how to use them, and how to maximize them to your benefit. So let's slide on in.
Here with them up from there, and old Raphael was coming in on a box antenna. I worked in on a box antenna. It's pretty good this morning. So, yeah, you're doing pretty good on those Omnis over. Yeah, the name here is Rick.
Roger, Rick. What was your call again?
It's Whiskey 5 Echo Mike Echo.
All right. Well, that's not bad. About a 260-mile contact, so it's doing great. Yeah, you're coming in just beautiful. I've got a good solid 5.8 signal on you, real good strong audio and everything, so absolutely no complaints into San Antonio today.
Same here. So, all right, just want to say,
All right, I hope that short little video gave you a appetite for working 2-meter single sideband. There's just a quick example of what you can do. And I was in error during the contact. It's not 265 miles. It was actually 324.6 miles. So you can see the quality of the contact for the distance, and that was done on 2 meters. Real quick, this is not one of our propagation tools, but it is a tool that I like and I use. If you've got an iPhone, put ham radio call on it. And what's nice about this is if you're operating mobile, portable, or anything, it's taking your location from where you're at based on the GPS coordinates on your phone. So when you punch in somebody's call sign, it's giving you a true heading, distance, and all the data that you want off of that individual, straight from your location, not from your QTH like logging programs will do, and QRZ and everything, because it's based on your house. All right, so like I said, it's just a handy little tool, and it works great on the iPhones. All right, let's look at our basic propagation tools. The first one is beacons. I'm a big fan of beacons, and I'll explain why in a minute, but basically they don't lie to you. What you see is what you get. The VHF propagation map, this is a really handy visual tool, and I keep it running in my shack 24/7 on a monitor so that when I walk in, I can see potential propagation. The VHF real-time propagation map, this is my favorite mapping tool because it's taking things from DX Summit and things and showing you what's coming in real-time contacts, station to station. And then another tool, it's not really a propagation tool, but the hamsters here in the region, we use it to alert each other of band openings. We've got everybody that voluntarily signed up and they're on alerts. So let's say somebody at 6 o'clock in the morning all of a sudden Tennessee is just coming into here. They can quickly type in there, Tennessee is open into San Antonio, hit it. And now all of us that subscribe to the alerts, we just got it on our phones, and we know that the activity is going. Let's take a look at the first tool, and this is beacons. Now I do two things. Number one, I tune into different beacons to confirm that I can hear them and everything, but I also keep my pan adapter opened up for the beacon portion of the band. And then I primarily run my omnis when I'm monitoring, and then I switch to the beams as they are needed. And everything. So what I do is I look at this. So when I come in the room, I can look at my pan adapter, and of course it's echoing on the radio, but it's also up on the big screen monitor, so I can see more detail. But I can see a beacon working out there. So if I see the dots popping up on the waterfall and everything, then I'm going to dial over and see how well I'm actually copying it and what I can see, what I can hear, and also confirm that it's the beacon I think it is, so that I can turn around and start pointing that way and calling CQ. But beacons don't lie. And I will say this and say this and say this. And it's my opinion, it's my tool, but if you're hearing a beacon, you can almost 100% guarantee you're going to make a contact in that area if anybody's on the air. Because if that 10, 15 watt beacon is making it 400 or 500 miles to you, then surely 150, 500, 1,000 watt single sideband or CW station is going to be making it through the airwaves as well. So use beacons. K5TRA has probably the most accurate beacon list that I'm aware of. A lot of beacon lists are so outdated and everything that they don't even make sense half of the time. But Tom does a real good job of trying to keep the list updated and locations and everything. And I just keep a chart in here, so I know if I see something on 147 or 144.289, okay, I know that's the N5XO beacon here in San Antonio. The other thing that's handy on beacons, and I use the one up in Austin and I use the one in San Antonio to test antennas. I compare signals from different antennas and everything. And plus it lets me verify my rotor alignment after major windstorms or something, make sure nothing got out of alignment. So if all of a sudden my heading for a beacon changes, then I know I need to go up and do some calibrating. All right, the next tool is the APRS map. This is a great visual tool. I leave it running on a monitor 24/7 in the shack. And what I do is you come in and you instantly see there's potential for a band opening. What this is showing is actual APRS network connected devices communicating to each other. So APRS to APRS station, and this draws out the map and propagation. If you're seeing deep red, get on the airwaves, because if people are up and on the air, you're going to be making some contacts and everything. This particular band opening was fabulous. On this particular day out of San Antonio, myself and a handful of others, we worked into Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mississippi, Missouri, Louisiana, and everything. So it was some fabulous openings. My record contact that day was like 790 miles. So it was a great opening. If you're seeing deep red, it's high probability of a good band opening. You will get some false returns every now and then. So it's not perfect. Orange is probably 200 to 300 miles. Yellow's about 100 miles. And If you see purple, get real excited because that's E-skip. And you won't see that very often. But this is a handy map. I will put the links to it at the end of this little tutorial and everything. But this is something you should have running in your shack 24/7. Have it on a computer monitor and go for it. Okay. The next tool that is really handy, and this is my favorite map display. I've actually got it opened up in 3 windows because it'll do multiple bands, not at once, but I have a window open for 6 meters. I have a window open for 2 meters, and I have a window open for 432. Okay. It takes data from DX Summit and other DXing sites like that. So they're real-time contacts. You can turn around and click, and it'll also display the different modes and stuff. Is it an E-skip? Is it Tropo? Is it FT8? Or you know, it'll give you some details on there when you click on different ones. And you can actually, let's pull up the chart. You can actually take a look at, you've got 28, 40, 50, 70, 144, 222, and 432 that you can monitor real-time activity. And then you can pull up Europe, Africa, North America. Mine just sits on North America all the time for 6 meters and 2 meters. And I can't tell you how many times I've come in from work or come in from the other room or anything, and I walk in and I just catch the monitor and there's lines zigzagging all around, and I've jumped on 6 meters, etc., and made some great contacts. So you've got a lot of flexibility with that. You can also pull up different layers, options, and modes and propagations to show what you're looking for. So, you know, if you could care less about FT8, get rid of it. If you could care less about CW, get rid of it. So just set it up the way you want with the layers and activity and everything. And it's very configurable. If you got a large enough monitor, open 3-4 windows like I do and put, sorry, I got the hiccups. And I put the different things in. Like I said, I monitor 50 megahertz, 144, and 432. Those are the ones that I cover right there with that. So those are just really, really handy mapping tools. So those basically are the 3 resources that I use to turn around and follow and check for band openings. But here's the number one, and I didn't put it on the basic propagation tools because this should be common sense. The best way to determine a band opening is to get on there, make some noise, call CQ, carry on a conversation with somebody else. I can't tell you how many times we've been chatting on 144, 180, 200, 210, 250, etc. And all of a sudden we're joined by stations out of Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, and stuff, because they see almost everybody anymore has got pan adapters, and they see the signals popping up, and they come looking to see who, what, when, how, and where. And so the best tool that you can use is get in there and talk and make noise. All right, well, let's go ahead and go back to the rest of the group here.
Okay, so some of those things I knew about, some of them I didn't, and now I've got new information to take back to my club. We really appreciate all the hard work that all of our hosts put into their segments. Now, while we have a little bit of fun and a little bit of laughs, understand that we all work hard and we all try and bring you guys not only entertaining and pleasing segments, but we try and bring you some information and some education as well. We hope that you get that. We know we've got some detractors out there that like to throw a little mud and see what sticks, but we keep our spirits up and we really enjoy bringing you the content that we do. That being said, let's go out for final thoughts. This month, I'm going to pick on Greg, and you better keep it short.
I have nothing. That's short enough.
That was short.
I am
All
here
right,
to
Melissa,
believe.
anything from you?
I'm really hoping to have all my equipment hooked up by next show. Finally.
We've been waiting so long.
I know.
All right, Miss Andrea.
Well, I guess, Sam, I was just thinking, with your recent emergency there, I was thinking of a discussion that I had driving back to Texas from New Jersey last time, which was right after the hurricane rolled into
right.
Louisiana. And the person I was talking to mentioned how with the flooding, the bodies were coming out of the mausoleums. And I realized last time that happened was back last November on election day when they came out to vote. So that's all I've got to say.
I'm going to keep
our
it clean, y'all,
political
because
announcement
all of them decided to have controversial topics there.
Views expressed by the host of this show do not necessarily meet.
I'm going to keep it clean and just tell you guys, we love when you interact with us. Heck, even our detractors give us something to talk about, but we hope that you have as much fun as we do. And again, please send us pictures of your shack, because we want to feature your shacks on Show Us Your Shack. Send us information on what you're doing, projects you've got going on, questions.
Yes.
Because for the technical stuff, Greg and Andrea, as you can see, tote this part of the show. Yep. Melissa and I don't mind being the beauty. They can be the brains. That's fine.
I thought you and I were, Andrea.
But anyway, we hope you guys had a good time. And once again, we want to thank our sponsors, the Hamsters Week Signal Group. They do amazing things. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them, I think, with their own website. Anyway, Greg will put all that information down below. Now he's got to go through and rewatch all this, because he's got to put everything below that I tell you is below.
Oh, is that what I'm supposed to do?
That's what you're supposed to do.
Hey, I'm going to throw one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam.
Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us for the October Ham Talk. And we will be back next month. Hopefully, all of us will be in a better place. And we'll have some great stuff. I might even dress up in a Halloween costume for a late November show, just because I missed this one because of a tornado. I fully intended on being in costume for this one. Sorry, guys.
Well,
all right, so we'll
quick.
Say goodbye to you guys.
Hang on.
What you got?
On Show Us Your Shack, it doesn't have to be as insane as mine.
Yeah, could be anything.
You've got one radio in your car. That's a shack. Have fun. There you go. And stuff. You share what you're doing and how you're operating. Learn from each other. One of the neatest shacks I've ever seen's got 2 radios sitting in it. But he works a lot. So that's all I got to say. I'll shut up now.
No, everybody's been pretty good except Andrea. She has to sit in the corner this month.
Yeah, this crap.
Greg turned his dunce cap over to Andrea this month. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we do hope that you'll come back and see our November show. We're so excited to have you out there, and we know that you're watching. So thank you, and 73.
Have a good evening.